Hi, I'm Chris Lewis, firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to another edition of LFD On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how their all-volunteer fire department trains and responds to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of LFD On Call. I talked to Lakeville North Industrial Tech teacher Kevin Bass about his class's unique partnership with the LFD. Also on the show, Fire Chief Mike Meyer talks to DART drone instructor Christina Martinez about the LFD's training and use of drones to enhance public safety. Then I'll get you caught up on the latest happenings with the fire department. Next, firefighter Todd Sellner answers a viewer's question about the training that firefighters receive throughout the year. And Spot the Fire Dog will dig up some info on fire hydrants in the winter and what you need to do to help keep your neighborhood safe. Today we're here at Lakeville North High School with a couple of the students from the Industrial Tech Department, and they're going to tell us about how they've been involved in the fire department. Guys, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, why don't you tell me who you guys are and what class you're in?
Jed Pomisel. We're in Manufacturing and Welding 1.
I'm Jacob Whittier.
Okay, and you're both seniors?
Yep, both seniors.
So, you guys have gotten involved with the fire department, building different apparatus or projects or whatever. Can you tell me how you got involved with the fire department?
So, Mr. Gaborski, who works at our school, came down to us one day and he had this idea of these boxes in the lockers which would speed up the process of getting suited up to go to a call, and is basically just to hold phones and wallets and keys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know I throw my keys on a bench or my phone or whatever, and we've actually driven over each other's cell phones in the bay with the fire truck, and it just kills them. So that's fantastic.
So we kind of came up with a couple prototypes and we're thinking of size, and he wanted it like big enough to hold a phone, but not too big where they hit it over with a jacket or something.
This was the first design actually here. So we thought it'd be nice to be able to see what you have in there, and then we had this up here because it was sharp up there and we didn't want to have anything get cracked or scratched or broken or whatever. And then when we came up with this, we showed it to him and he wanted something a little bit simpler. So then we came to something like this box here. And then we were cutting it out, got it all welded up, and that was before we had our plasma cutter. But then once we got all of our new equipment in, we wanted to be able to make it faster and use our new equipment more.
So the guys drew this up, so what we want to do is we want to CAD draw each side, but then link them together as a fold-up box.
And then we made a couple drawings and had a couple ideas, then we went to talk to him, and then he kind of like narrowed it down to what he really wanted.
You guys learn to do all this too in your class, right?
When it's all said and done by the end of this year, I should have the kids dial in on all these stations where they can actually do this from start to finish.
What do you got there, Jared?
Some raisins?
No, none of that health stuff.
And our router over there is brand new. We got a lot of donations, so it was nice.
Double click on that and we're going to start seeing some sparks flash. All right. So all my intro students will learn how to use this.
Yeah.
So at this point I'm going to hand it off to these guys. They're going to do their magic.
There. See, I mean, that one was pretty perfect right there.
Pretty perfect, yeah. You ready to do a little welding?
Yeah, I can weld. It's been about 30 years since I've welded, but I can, I'll get in the mix. All right. So I'm just going right along there, right? That's like a sophomore weld right there. No, that one wasn't good enough. There we go.
Pretty good. Almost a pro.
I think my last one there was probably my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
last year we made it's like a training thing for the pike pole, and it was a thing they wanted mounted on the wall. They wanted one side where they could push it up and have a thing to put weights on it, so there'd be resistance, and another side to pull down and again to put weights on it.
So did you guys come up with that yourselves? I mean, did you look up different pieces like that online, or how did it work?
Basically, we went on YouTube and we were looking, and we saw a couple different ways it was done, and we didn't really like how they were done. Yeah. So we kind of took their idea and changed it to make it easier and like smaller, basically, because the ones we saw were big and clunky and sat on the floor.
All right, so right here we've got the captains for Station 1's box. I mean, and I had a good hand in. How would you grade my work here with the welds and whatnot?
Welds, I don't know. It's a touchy subject.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs a little polishing, a little massaging.
Yeah.
But anyways, but guys, hey, I appreciate, you spending time here. I do appreciate the work that you guys did with the department. Good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Coming up next, Fire Chief Mike Meyer talks to DART drone instructor Christina Martinez about the LFD's training and use of drones to enhance public safety.
They'll test you, try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome to another edition of Chief's Corner. I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer, and today I'm joined by Christina from DART Drones. Tell us a little bit about what we're doing today as a fire department.
Sure. So this weekend, we've done some drone training in our 30-degree weather with a lot of winds yesterday, but we had so much fun. We flew a bunch of different drones. So yesterday we focused on how to fly drones safely within the community, and today we're focused on how to fly drones within our legal requirements called the Part 107 licensing. So we're going through everything from airspace and flying on manned aircraft to where we can and cannot fly in parks and cities.
What do we gain from this as a department as far as once we get through with the class, what's our next step?
Sure, so our next step here is to take a test. So each of the, everyone in the fire department who is here is going to take a test. They're going to get a license called the 107 license, and from there they can operate a drone safely around our community. So I might ask, what do you guys see yourself doing with your drones?
Okay, so to answer that, we're getting a drone, and it's going to have two different types of cameras. It's going to have a regular camera that you can see on YouTube and then we're getting a thermal camera attachment to it also. So from a department standpoint, we saw that there's a good capability and needs that we could put out there as far as if we're at a scene for fire investigation. So we can look at a scene and say, here's what we're seeing, and use that from our investigation standpoint. Some of the things that sparked my interest is the search and rescue piece of it. So whether it's daytime, nighttime, we have somebody that goes into a cornfield as the example, that we can put a drone up and quickly do a search and cut our time down to hopefully successfully find that person versus get a lot of bodies and do a search. And talking with your company and people around that are using drones, it's really what you can use them for is only limited by your imagination. Do you see this as a growing industry as far as public safety, governments using drones for name the use?
Yes, we definitely see a lot in the public safety sector, and we have a lot of sheriffs, fire departments, police departments that are looking into using drones much like they use a canine department, where they might have a special group of people who use drones rather than canines. They'll have them in a truck ready to go, and they can use them to help our citizens that much quicker and more safely in their day-to-day operations.
And a question on drones. So we're getting DJI Inspire 1, which is a bigger drone, but as far as what do you see in the industry as far as what's the common drone that most people are using public safety wise or day-to-day use?
Sure, so we have everything from our photography use all the way up into our mapping and then our thermal, as you mentioned. The Inspire 1 is one of the best drones out there. It's super stable, it's really reliable. It's a really good drone to use kind of as your workhorse drone because you can put on that camera that gets that beautiful shot with just your RGB image, or you can add on your thermal camera. So it gives you a lot of options with just that single drone.
So tell me a little bit about experience level. So we have 13 firefighters in here getting trained today. We have somebody that's a licensed pilot already in our class to somebody like myself that has 0 experience. So
yeah, definitely. The great thing about these drones is they're so easy to fly. There's a lot to learn in addition to that, but they're very easy. So we can teach someone in a weekend the basics of flying, and then with some more practice, they become really competent drone pilots that can do some amazing stuff, whether or not they're a manned aircraft pilot as well or just a drone pilot. So with that, there's so many people out there that have drones. Is there any advice that you have about flying maybe near police or firefighter operations?
Yep, so if you come upon a scene and you're a private citizen, you want to fly your drone, absolutely we don't want you near the scene flying your drone, whether that's in proximity, up and over and above what we're doing, because that's just going to interfere potentially with what we're doing and draw our attention away from what we should be focused on, the scene and what we're trying to accomplish there. So as far as our class this weekend, how do you think it's gone? As far as you're dealing with a different group of people that you probably normally don't deal with?
Yeah, it's actually been a lot of fun. I'm just joking. Nobody's fallen asleep. We've learned about Santa Claus. We've learned about drone racing. But we've had a lot of fun this weekend. It's a great group to fly with and to teach, so I've really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for yesterday when we were all trying to stay warm and you had to stand out there the entire time, for joining me at Chief's Corner and talking a little bit about drones and the program that we're developing here.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's another wrap from Chief's Corner.
Thanks, Chief. Looks like drones will be a very important tool for public safety in the years to come. And we've got a lot to fly through and around town this episode. The department has had a very busy couple of months. October was National Fire Prevention Month. To celebrate, Lakeville firefighters visited schools throughout town. Not only did they bring the fire truck, they also had students participate in some fire drills. The goal was to educate Lakeville's youth about fire safety and prevention. On October 17th, the manager of Lakeville's Buffalo Wild Wings called to report that their warmer oven was smoking. B-Dub's employees had moved the oven outside by the time fire personnel arrived. The electronic controls for the oven were still burning, so the fire crew extinguished the flames and checked for any hot spots around where the oven had started on fire. On October 21st, a Ford Escape collided with a semi-truck on County Road 70 near Granada Avenue. Crews had to extricate the driver from the vehicle. The driver was airlifted from the scene with serious injuries, but will survive. On October 23rd, Lakeville and Burnsville Fire responded to a vehicle on fire on 35W near 162nd Street. Crews extinguished the fire and provided traffic control until the vehicle was removed from the freeway. On October 31st, Station 2 hosts its annual trick-or-treat event. About 30 kids stopped by to show off their costumes and get an up-close look at some of the fire trucks. And of course, they walked away with some candy as well. On November 2nd, fire crews responded to a townhome fire on Foliage Court. A neighbor reported hearing smoke detectors sounding and seeing light smoke in her home. Lakeville and Apple Valley firefighters arrived on scene to find a kitchen fire in the attached neighbor's townhome. No one was at home at the time. Only the involved townhome suffered fire damage, but it was enough to displace the occupant. On November 7th at 1:30 p.m., the Lakeville Fire Department responded to a conveyor fire at Recycle, Minnesota on 215th Street West. Crews arrived on scene and confirmed a fire was caused by a piled material on a conveyor belt within the hopper. The sprinkler system activated 3 sprinkler heads to control the fire. Crews quickly extinguished the remaining fire and remained on scene until 7 p.m. to monitor the situation. Thank you to the Dakota County Sheriff's Department and Apple Valley Fire for their assistance. On November 11th, a neighbor on Diamante Path reported seeing smoke coming from the neighbor's deck and called 911. Lakeville crews arrived on scene to a small fire under the deck. Crews extinguished the fire but had to remove parts of the deck and posts to put out the fire. The fire was caused by an outdoor yard light. On November 13th, Station 1 responded to 280th Street in Iberia to a combine that had started on fire. Fortunately, the combine was unloading picked corn when the fire had started, and there were no injuries. Coming up next, firefighter Todd Sellner answers a viewer's question about the training that firefighters receive throughout the year. And Spot the Fire Dog will dig up some info on fire hydrants in the winter and what you need to do to help keep your neighborhood safe.
Hi, I'm Todd Sellner, Assistant Chief, Lakeville Fire Department. On this segment of Ask the Firefighter, Heather from Lakeville asked, how often do we train and what kind of training do we do as a fire department? So Heather, Lakeville has 86 volunteer firefighters. We train at least twice a month, and the different types of training we do are search and rescue, hazmat, auto extrication, live fire training. We do a multitude of trainings throughout the year. Some of them are required, some are optional, and whenever we get the opportunity for a new piece of equipment or something new to train on within the city, we would take advantage of that. So our training sessions are usually about 3 hours long, usually on Monday nights, and each station may hold their own, or we'll combine stations when we do a group type training. So in addition to also doing training at our own stations, we do have a remote building that we do our live burns at, which is in Burnsville, which is a combination of Apple Valley, Burnsville, Lakeville, and Egan Fire Departments. We all share the resource, and that's where we do our live fire training. So on the nights we do live fire, we have to go to Burnsville to conduct that training. And in tonight's training, Schmitty's and Sons was nice enough to bring, they've got an all-electric bus that they purchased and started using, so we're going to do some training on it as far as how hazardous it could be with all batteries on it and no fuel. The hazards with it would be the batteries. They generally do not start on fire in any type of accident, but just in case they do start on fire, it's going to be a good opportunity for our firefighters to learn on what to do if they do. So as far as the electrical hazard, it's the same on the bus as it would be on any electric or hybrid vehicle. There are high voltage lines on it which are orange, and it's easy for us to avoid them, but there's also a main shutoff switch where the firefighters will be trained on where to disengage the power on this vehicle.
You just flip this down, and there's a lockout right here.
So it's very important for us to get the training on these electric and hybrid vehicles, because as you've probably read and seen on TV, there's more and more vehicles being released and made, school buses, cars, semis now, all kinds of vehicles that are either all electric or hybrid. So it's important for us to understand the hazards of these vehicles. So thanks for the question, Heather. Hopefully that answered what you were looking for as far as how often and what kind of training our firefighters do.
Hey everyone, it is I, Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and stomp out the fires. Hey, it's the winter weather time, and I'm walking through my neighborhood, and, well, I'm having trouble finding those fire hydrants. You know, during the winter, it can be tough to find a fire hydrant if nobody digs it out. Hey, imagine if you can't see it, that means firefighters won't be able to spot the fire hydrant either. Hey, that means it's going to be hard for us dogs to do their duties. Wait a minute. I mean, it'll be hard for the firefighters to do their duties to help keep your neighborhood safe in case of a fire. Firefighters suggest that if you do have a fire hydrant in your neighborhood, you should shovel the snow and ice in a 3-foot perimeter around the hydrant, and mainly this is so it is wide enough for firefighters to work and accomplish their tasks. And you should make sure that you clear a path from the hydrant all the way into the street. So now I, Spot the Fire Dog, will demonstrate how to successfully shovel out a fire hydrant by shoveling out a fire hydrant with my ice cream scoop. Here we go. Okay, Mr. Hydrant, I'm going to get you out now. Mr. Stokely. Whew, phew. Hey. Well, folks, by digging out of the hydrants, you'll keep all the neighbors and the dogs happy and safe this winter. So until next time, this is Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and stomp out the fires. We'll see you next time, everybody, and I'll be keeping an eye on you, Mr. Hydrant. We'll see you. We'll see you. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of LFD On Call. If you have questions, comments, and idea for the program, or would like to send a question in for Ask the Firefighter, please call 952-985-4700 or use the email address at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.
Someone get me a glass of water, please.